Beautiful ashes, I'm rising from the ground again. Dancing through damage, my broken heart is learning to bend. Beautiful ashes, I'm rising from the ground again.
Welcome to our very first episode of Beautiful Ashes with Auntie Mercy. This is a program where we will feature people that are coming from different walks of life, people that have had challenges, people that have had issues which they have eventually overcome. Beautiful Ashes is taken from the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 3, where God was encouraging the children of Israel who had come out of captivity in Babylon. And when they returned to their home, they found that the temple for worship was broken down, their houses were dilapidated, the whole city was in rubble, and they were in mourning, wondering how they were going to rebuild their lives. But God was encouraging them, was telling them that they were going to be restored. They were going to be reconstructed. They were going to be able to reconstruct by His grace. Therefore, Beautiful Ashes is here to encourage you all. Beautiful Ashes will feature people that will inspire and encourage you to know that there is life even after trouble. Our very first guest today is Evangelist Brian Chishimba. Brian Chishimba has walked a life that had a lot of ups and downs and a lot of hurdles, but he overcame. How did he overcome? This is what we're going to find out, and that's why we've invited him today on this program. Welcome, Evangelist Chishimba.
Thank
Welcome
you very
to the program.
Thank you very much, Auntie Mercy. I'm glad to be on this program, and also greetings to listeners and viewers. Thank you.
To start with, I would like you to just give us a brief background about yourself. Who is Brian Chishimba?
Thank you very much. I'm an evangelist called by God, and also a mental health clinician, holding a Bachelor of Science degree in mental health and clinical psychiatry, and currently pursuing a Master of Science in clinical neuropsychology at the University of Zambia. And I'm also a universal prevention and recovery specialist in substance use disorders, and also an author of 3 books: Triumph Over Alcohol and Drug Addiction, which highlights my true life story, and also The Proven Code, which talks about the evidence-based practice to recovery and blends my lived experience, and the soon to be launched book, which I'm launching on the 18th of April, when I'll be celebrating 10 years alcohol and drug sobriety. This is Divine Codes for the Flesh, From Brokenness to Purposeful Living. So I'm also a husband and the father of 3 children. Thank you.
Wonderful. Evangelist, can you just tell us how your journey started? How did you find yourself in alcohol and drug abuse?
Thank you very much, Pastor Mercy. I struggled with alcohol and drug abuse for a period of 14 years. And in this journey, it's very important that I take you back to where we came from. So I was born in Kabwe, and I was raised by my grandmother. Before my grandmother started staying with me, my parents divorced. I think I was about 6 years old. They divorced, and me and my mother went to live with my grandmother. And unfortunately, my mom died, and we were the 2 of us from my mother's side. But from my father's side, we were 8. So from my mother's side, my older sister also 2 years later died, as my grandmother was raising us. And my grandmother had about 6 children. 5 of them died. Only 1 remained, who was staying here in Lusaka. So as she was raising us in Kabwe, and all those her children, after they died, they left also children. So we were about 10 of us being orphaned by our grandmother. Then I happened to be one smart guy very intelligent, very brilliant, such that at grade 7 exams at primary education, I passed very well and got very good marks to earn myself a spot in grade 8. And my uncle, the surviving son to my grandmother, realized the potential I had, and he made a very good decision to take me from Kabwe, and he brought me here in Lusaka with a vision that at least if he educates me, we are going to be together and see how best we are going to fix the poverty which had just stricken our family as a result of death. So he enrolled me at Kablonga Boys, where I did my grade 8 and 9. And I was looking forward to becoming a medical doctor or an engineer or a mathematician, because I was very good in mathematics. And such that at grade 9, I passed very well. I was one of the best students at Kablonga Boys, earned myself a spot to go to Hillcrest. I got 512 marks and went to Hillcrest National Technical School in Livingstone, where I did my grade 10 to 12. So at Hillcrest National Technical School, in grade 10, I didn't know to what extent it would take me. There are some friends now who introduced me now to drinking, because they used to call me Stongwani. So Stongwani, it's a Lozi name, which means a hyena. Chimbwi, no plan. Like, this guy has no plan. All what he does is just read books, study. So I didn't like that name. So the same guys who used to call me that name, I found them drinking. So that's how they invited me now to the table. So I couldn't refuse, because I felt like it's very important that I also join them. So out of peer pressure, I took the first drink. I didn't know to what extent that drink would take me. And I now continued to drink, such that at the age of 16 years, I even now started going out of school, going nightclubs, and start also sleeping with sex workers. In my teenage life, started now contracting even STIs. And it was just unfortunate that I even now forgot about my academic vigor, where I was thinking like in my pursuit, I'm going to get what I want to get, but it was just almost now impossible. I suffered 2 suspensions at Hillcrest. I suffered also an expulsion. After being expelled in grade 11, there was a management meeting which took place here in Lusaka, and they resolved that some people were expelled and suspended from Hillcrest be brought back. And that's how I went back to Hillcrest. And in grade 12, on my 18th birthday, I took my friends, we went to go drink. And by then now, I had changed from being called Stongwan to Brand Bronx, Bonarivex, Geodanks, Giramaffin. I became now a shining star now in alcoholism, drug abuse, sexual morality, sleeping with sex workers. So we were veterans now at that.
So would you say that for you, peer pressure is what played a major role, or was it because of the background that you were coming from, where there had been a lot of deaths in the family?
Yeah, of course. For me, what in my reasoning, I was thinking that was just peer pressure. But having also read and understood mental health and psychiatry, I realized that there were some trauma happening, which was not cancelled or helped to overcome, because we're looking at a child growing with no parents. They divorced. I experienced all that, and I saw all that. I must have been traumatized, but not knowing that I was traumatized, and obviously it had to predispose in my life not to have firm decision. I was unable to make a concrete decision, because my academic vision was very strong. But however, it was disrupted at that time, because I was invited to a table of drinking.
So, would you say to our viewers that, as the Bible says, bad company corrupts good morals? Would you say that
No, that's
is
very-
what happened with you? And apart from that, you also, there was something that was lacking in you. There was a void, and you were trying to fill a certain void which you were not aware of.
Yes, which I was not aware of. Yes, because you are very. These are just dentures. You can see. This is a time when I threw myself, hit on the ground, I hit my face down on the ground, had my front teeth broken, and it was so painful. My head, I couldn't continue with my degree, and that's how I left my.
So, what would you say now when you look back? Were the thoughts that you had that led you to throw yourself off the third floor? Were you, so to speak, maybe tired of life, or was it just the shame of being seen as a failure?
Yeah, it was just shame, and I was unable to cope up with that shame. I just felt, because when I was growing up, I felt like I was an intelligent guy, and I was among the best. Imagine being the best at Kablonga Boys. In fact, they even used to call me Bronx the Great, a symbol saying this guy is a genius. So now, because of alcohol and drugs, I couldn't manage. So now, going back again to go and explain to my grandma, the people, that so that was shameful at that point. So that is the only reason which made me to commit suicide at that time.
To attempt.
Yeah, to attempt to commit suicide at that time, yes. So from there, I found, after I came back, came to Kabwe, found a job, then was posted to Mansa District. There in Mansa District, I married. We had the first 2 children. I lost 2 children. And by the grace of God, we had the 3rd child, who happens to be my firstborn, and is now 15 years old. So the woman I was married to, and the marriage itself was whereby I met this woman, started cohabiting, staying together. From there, we said, let's formalize our marriage. We married it, and then I informed my parents, my grandma, that I'm married. So it was just something which I just decided on my own. And the woman also I was married to could no longer continue to live with me. So what does she do? She decided to divorce me, because the pain she was going through was too much. I would commit adultery. I would not spend nights, not taking care of her. So she says, no, this man, after all, maybe my family doesn't even know him very well. But she couldn't just say, I'm divorcing you. Because the issue is that we even registered our marriage. So it was by law that we were married. So she needed to go to the courts, because if she not, I continued to make problems. So she had to divorce me, and I was divorced. It was a painful situation. After that, now I became depressed, such that in 2013, there was a by-election taking place in Mansa. So me, in my drunken state, I was so drunk, so high with marijuana, drugs, alcohol, I started destroying campaign posters. In 2013, I was arrested, and the case was all over on ZNBC, Facebook. This government employee, this is what he's doing. So I was arrested and taken to prison. I was remanded in prison for 3 months. So the candidate who stood on MMD ticket realized that this man, there's no one who has even sent him. So he decided to say, let me withdraw the case. So by the grace of God, he came and withdrew the case, and I was acquitted under Section 201. That's how I came out of prison. Now started abusing alcohol, marijuana, women, until in 2014, I got very sick. I was unconscious. So UTH had to send an ambulance to come and pick me from Mansa. I was transferred in an ambulance to UTH, And when I was, because I also had now hallucinations and delusions. I could hear people chasing me. I could see visions, and my liver was damaged. I could do yellow urine, dark yellow urine, and my eyes were deep yellow, and I was being transported unconscious. When I reached UTH says, this man, we need to take him to Chainama. I was in Chainama for a period of 8 months, 3 months, 3 months, and 2 months. There at Chainama, they ran all now the tests. So I was diagnosed with alcohol use disorder. I was also diagnosed with neuropsychiatric squilly, which is as a result of poor controlled retroviral disease, because I was not adherent to treatment. I was also diagnosed with HIV, and I was also diagnosed with liver damage, and also generalized brain atrophy. And
How did that make you feel, having all those things pronounced upon you, diseases that I believe at that time it looked like there was no remedy?
There was no, in fact, you know me, I even used to ask the doctors, what is it that you found? Because I really wanted to know. I would read my file, and I could see in my file. In fact, when you got Chainama, you found my file right now is big like this. So I was diagnosed with HIV, and that depressed me. I can tell you, it lost every hope in my life. I was diagnosed with brain atrophy, meaning the neurons were shrinking. And when I read, I was expected not to live even up to today. So for me, I was thinking by 2015, I'll be buried. So that gave me, I lost hope. And to make matters worse, I was again disengaged from employment. I lost my job, and now things became so bad. I remained destitute, no home, and suffered divorce, lost employment, now became just an alcoholic. Every day drinking, every day abusing alcohol. Until in 2016. In 2016, in March, 31st March, I woke up, I had a terrible hangover. So I went to the bar. So when I reached at the bar, I asked somebody to buy me, just take a junta so that I can feel good. So he bought me that kajunta for 4 kwacha. So I took everything and finished. So he got upset. Iwe chimutala, wanisirisira kamoba. Ndochopusa. And it's that time I didn't have teeth. Wanakumenya, wanakuchosa na meno. Ulibena bakazi wanakuta, wananchito, ununkalo bama mulini. So I felt so bad. So I went home and slept. So the following morning was 1st April. My uncle comes and wakes me up. Brad, at your workplace, former workplace, they've given you back your job. Wow. And there's money. So me, I didn't even brush my teeth. I rushed, and in my mind was, when I get my money, I'm coming to show the guys. So when I reached at my workplace, I found it was April Fool's Day, 1st April. So that was the moment now I started realizing now. So when I reached home, because I cried all the way up to home, I looked at myself. I said, I was at Copperbelt University. I've worked in the government. I was intelligent. I was at Hillcrest. But what happened to me? That's how I went to my uncle and said, Uncle, I think take me to church. And that's how he took me to, because I also didn't want anything to do with God. Because I would even say that this God who killed my parents, what has he got to do with me? We would boast. I'm a person who even insulted. I've insulted God before. But the day I was taken to God, to church, I was led to receive him. I found Bishop Muyutu and also Bishop Mususu, the evangelical church. They led me to receive Jesus, and I accepted. Now, because I was withdrawing from alcohol, I was taken back to Chainama, where I received treatment and psychotherapy. So as we are speaking today, Auntie Mercy, I am now 9 years, 10 months, 10 days as at today. Wow. Alcohol and drug sobriety.
Congratulations.
And in my 9 years of sobriety, I went to Bible school and also got an advanced diploma in theology. And in 2020, I decided to remarry. now this in an open state, and I shared my status, HIV, and the woman I found, she accepted to marry me, and she's HIV negative. And because I was open, I took her to the hospital. We met a psychologist, and she was put on pre-exposure prophylaxis, a medication to prevent her from contracting the virus from me. And we have been married for 6 years, and myself, for the past 9 years, I've been adherent to treatment such that my viral load, as at Thursday, because last week Thursday I went for review, it's undetectable, and my CD4 count has been ranging 930 to 970, and meaning I've reduced the risk to pass the virus to my partner. And for the past 6 years, she has remained negative, and we are blessed with 2 more children who are HIV negative. So this is a story which I have also highlighted in there.
Wow.
And not only that, I decided to go back to school, to go and pursue now a Bachelor of Science in Mental Health and Clinical Psychiatry. And I graduated as we are speaking. I'm a licensed clinician under the Health Professions Council of Zambia. And I decided also to pursue my master's. I'm doing now a master's in clinical neuropsychology. So the same story I'm sharing with you, I've shared it at the African Union Summit, even before the Vice President. At one time, she even shared it on her Facebook page, such that in 2024, I was also invited at the International Society for Substance Use Professional in Europe, where I went and also shared the same and got trained. And last year, I was also now trained as a universal prevention specialist by the Colombo Plan in conjunction with the Drug Enforcement Commission and the Ministry of Health. So it's a story of change, but in it, there is pain.
What a story. Just to take you back a bit, what was the process of recovery like? Did you ever have any relapse?
Yeah. Before the 9 years and broken relapse, there were so many relapses. Of course, we are going to talk about when we come to the medical part of addiction. Addiction is a chronic relapsing brain disorder, which is compulsive in nature, and it characterizes one to seek alcohol and drugs despite adverse consequences. So relapse is part of the process. I had so many relapses, uncountable relapses. I tried on my own, but I failed. Not until that day when I cried, that day when a realization came, then I have stood. That's why you can hear I'm always counting. I told you, Auntie Mercy, that today I am 9 years, 10 months, 10 days. Alcohol and drugs sobriety. Why am I counting? Because I'm also at the risk of relapse. So this is a battle we need to fight every day. Personally, we are fighting. That's why on 18th April 2026, I'm hosting a 10 years alcohol and drugs sobriety, which we need to be part of as well.
Definitely, most definitely we need to be a part of it. And your story really, now that you're in this profession and you are you're trained in this area of mental health, and you are attached even with the Drug Enforcement Commission, what would you say to the young ones out there? Because you probably even know the statistics. Can you give us some of the statistics in Zambia of drug and alcohol abuse?
Yeah. So the number one, over 56%. You look at, this is a big problem. Over 56% of mental disorders attended to at Chainama. Chainama is the largest mental health facility here in Zambia. Now we are talking about more than half the patients who go to Chainama. They go there not for other mental disorders like psychotic disorders, mood disorders, neurodevelopment. They go there as a result of substance use disorders, alcoholism and drugs. So half the number. So, and people shun going to Chainama. So we are just looking at a small number, those who have broken the stigma, those who just go there because because people don't want to go to Chainama. Now we're talking about half. Now what about the other number, the stigmatized? Where are they going? So this is a huge problem. Secondly, We are talking about the certain research conducted by the primary healthcare by the University of Zambia, led by Professor Goma, the former Health Professions Council of Zambia, CEO. They formulated together with Dr. Ziambo. Their findings is that 71% of the alcohol consumed in Zambia is illicit, meaning the alcohol which is being abused is one, unregulated, one, it is not properly blended. For example, bakumba che moba is maybe 100% or maybe 99%, and then you need to blend it. But now there's no time to blend that. So bantu bakumwa che pure alcohol and alcoholism can cause damage to all the system of the body, starting with the central nervous system. It can cause damage to the central nervous system. It can destroy the neurons because alcohol stops the production of thiamine. Thiamine is very important because it will react with glucose to produce ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the energy you need. So once thiamine is reduced in your central nervous system and the body, you are at risk to suffer from a condition which as mental health clinicians call as Wernicke's encephalopathy. And that can also push you to Wernicke's-Korsakoff, a permanent brain damage. So alcohol can also, alcoholism and drug abuse can again predispose you to cardiovascular issues because alcohol is a vasodilator. So meaning blood pressure is equals to cardiac output times the peripheral resistance. So you have high BPs. You've seen people at the reason they are drinking, the reason they have BP is because of hypertension. It can also cause kidney problems, liver damage. Alcoholism also causes memory problems. So it is this problem is a very big problem, especially if we are dealing with even illicit consumption.
What would you say to a young person out there, a youth, these adolescents? And nowadays you see that even the adults, when you're passing just in the streets, even in the morning, you'll find even in awkward places, cars are parked there even during working hours. People are drinking, people are abusing drugs. What would you say to encourage someone out there, since you've walked this journey and you've overcome it? Can you give a word of encouragement to someone out there?
Yeah, before I give a word of encouragement, I would love to say that, state categorically, that if you have not started, the evidence, the world evidence is clear. Invest in prevention. If you have not started, don't start, because you will never come back. I can tell you, statistics have shown that maybe 0.0001% will come back like me to come and testify. Some have died, some are still struggling. It's a very difficult journey to recover. So if you've not started, the best is not to start, because don't say, no, I'm going to also come and share a super story like me. This story we are sharing is what we call a miracle when it comes to science. This is a miracle, and it's, I don't even pride, like I would say, I'm a Superman. No, it's by the grace of God that no man can boast. So not everyone will come and testify. So the best is not to start. And if you've started, if you have started and you are not yet in addiction, the best is to seek as mental health specialist to come and also give you that psychoeducation and help you with informed decision so that you can also stop. But if you are already addicted, like the way I reached in rock bottom, we can still give you hope that you can still make a decision today. What happened in the past does not matter. But in it, even if you are going to come out, you have to accept that you met a portal, but the God's evidenced power will still lift you the same way it has lifted me. I'm a person who suffered divorce. I'm a person who even up to now, I'm taking ARVs. I'm a person struggling with gastritis, you see. I'm a person who who lost employment, but in it, God has come with a beautiful story that change is possible. You can still count the days of sobriety. I can tell you, I never even thought that at one day I'll pursue a master's degree. Here I am, a master of science in clinical neuropsychology, a UPC specialist. The first time I traveled out of Africa was as a result of this same beautiful story.
Amen.
So the
Amen.
best we can talk about is that if you've not started, don't start. If you are in it, there is still hope.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evangelist Brian Chishimba, for those words of encouragement. And viewers, this has been a good story, and we look forward to bringing our brother back again on to speak on other sectors of the drug and alcohol abuse. And now he's going to tackle and help us further, because we know that this is a challenge that many people are facing. And you've heard his story, how he has overcome, and he is not alone. You also can do it. He says, by the grace of God, it happened. And yes, even for you, God is no respecter of persons, and the grace of God is sufficient for each and every one of you out there. So thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you again next Sunday. Shalom, shalom.
Beautiful ashes, I'm rising from